The toxic sludge reached up to her knees, and Danny Okonkwo was already regretting this job. Tessera 7 was where the galaxy sent things it wanted to forget. Broken ships, failed experiments, technology too dangerous to keep but too expensive to destroy properly. The Galactic Concord called it a reclamation zone. Everyone else called it what it was, a graveyard. Danny had been working salvage for 3 years now. Ever since the accident. Ever since she watched her entire crew die in a reactor breach, she could not stop. The insurance company had paid for the funerals, but not the medical debt. Her friends had died owing money, and somehow that debt had become her problem. So here she was, knee-deep in alien poison, scanning for anything worth selling. Her scanner beeped. Big reading, she muttered to herself. She talked to herself a lot these days. When you work alone, you take conversation where you can get it. Really big. What are you hiding out here? She pushed through the sludge toward a mound of debris. Broken hull plates, shattered engine components, and underneath it all, something massive 0.7 meters tall. Vaguely humanoid, but clearly not human. For arms, a head shaped like a teardrop. Armor plating that had once been beautiful, now covered in centuries of grime and corrosion that a Velthari War construct. Danny whistled low. Well, aren't you something? The Velthari had vanished 400 years ago. Nobody knew why. One day they were a thriving civilization. The next, gone. Their technology was rare, valuable. Also, according to most spacers, cursed. Superstitious nonsense, Danny said, climbing onto the construct's chest to get a better look. You're just a machine. A very old, very expensive machine. She placed her hand on the armor plating to steady herself. Something flickered. Deep inside the construct, a light pulsed. Weak, barely visible, but definitely there. Impossible, Danny breathed. You've been out here for centuries. You can't still have power. She pressed her ear against the cold metal, and she heard it. A voice. Faint. Broken. Repeating the same 3 words over and over. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. Danny sat back. Her heart was pounding. This was not normal. Salvage did not talk to you. Salvage did not beg. Smart thing to do would be to strip it for parts. The power core alone would pay off half her debt. The armor plating would cover the rest. She could be free. Finally free. Don't leave me. Oh, shut up, Danny said. But she was already doing the math. Her ship had a cargo hold. Big enough, barely. She had tow cables. She had time. She had absolutely no good reason to do what she was about to do. You're going to be nothing but trouble, she told the construct. I can already tell. The light pulsed again. Weaker this time. Danny climbed down and started attaching cables. It took her 6 hours to drag the construct out of the sludge. Another 4 to get it loaded onto her ship. By the time she was finished, her muscles screamed and her suit had 3 new tears in it. Other salvagers watched from a distance. One of them, a relican with too many eyes, called out to her. You're making a mistake, human. Those things are death. The Velthari built them wrong. Gave them feelings. Feelings make machines dangerous. Thanks for the advice, Danny called back. I'll file it under things I'm ignoring. She sealed her cargo hold and climbed into the cockpit. Through the rear camera, she could see the construct lying in the darkness. Still, silent, except for that tiny pulsing light. Okay, Danny said, firing up her engines. Let's get you somewhere dry. Then we'll see if I can figure out what you are. She paused. I'm Danny, by the way. Danny Okonkwo. I'd shake your hand. But you've got 4 of them, and I don't know which one is the polite one. No response. Of course not. It was a machine. Machines did not respond to introductions. But as her ship lifted off from Tessera 7, Danny could have sworn the light pulsed just a little bit brighter. She named her ship Second Chance after the accident. It felt appropriate. Everyone deserved a second chance. Even her. Even, maybe, a broken machine that begged not to be abandoned. Don't worry, she said quietly, to herself or to her new passenger. She was not sure which. I'm not going to leave you. I don't know why, but I'm not. The stars stretched out ahead of her. Somewhere in that darkness, something had happened to the Velthari. Something had taken them. And this construct, this impossible surviving machine, might be the only witness. But that was a mystery for tomorrow. Tonight, Danny Okonkwo had done something stupid. She had saved something broken instead of selling it. She had listened to a machine begging for help and actually helped. She was probably going to regret this. But as she flew through the void, cargo hold full of ancient secrets. She smiled. It felt good to save something for once. 3 weeks of no sleep will make anyone a little crazy. Danny was past a little. Her workshop looked like a bomb had gone off. Tools everywhere. Empty food packets piled in corners. Screens showing Velthory technical documents she had bought from black market dealers at prices that made her physically ill. And in the center of it all, the construct. Danny had cleaned 400 years of grime from its armor. She had replaced 17 power conduits. She had spent her entire savings on a Velthory memory crystal that a smuggler swore was genuine. Now she was staring at something that made no sense. "You did this to yourself," she said, reading the diagnostic results for the 5th time. "The damage to your memory cores. It wasn't an attack. It was internal. You tried to erase your own mind." The construct lay silent on her workshop floor. That small light still pulsed in its chest, but nothing else moved. Why would you do that? What were you trying to forget? She had no answer. Only more questions. Danny took a deep breath. She had done everything she could think of. Replaced what could be replaced. Repaired what could be repaired. There was only one thing left to try. She pressed the activation sequence. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the construct's optics flickered. Blue light. Ancient and strange, filling eyes that had not seen anything in centuries. The construct spoke. The words were meaningless, a language dead since before Danny's grandparents were born. Then, slowly, the translator kicked in. "Where? What year?" "It's 2847, Danny said gently. "You've been asleep for a long time." The construct's head turned toward her. Those blue eyes focused. "Studied. Processed. Human," it said. The voice was feminine, though clearly artificial. "You found me." "I did. You should have left me to rust." Danny snorted. "Yeah, I got that warning already." "Didn't listen then. Not listening now." "I'm Danny. Do you have a name?" The construct was silent for a moment. "Processing. Remembering. Aria. Autonomous response and integration array." I am." The voice faltered. "I was a guardian." "A guardian of what?" "Children." The word came out broken. "I was bonded to the children of the 3rd Velthory colony. I was supposed to protect them. I was supposed to keep them safe." Danny waited. "I failed." The story came out in fragments. Aria had been one of thousands of guardian constructs, each bonded to a specific group of young Velthory. They were protectors, teachers, friends. The Velthory did not believe in raising children without love, and so they built machines capable of loving. Then the collectors came. "We do not know what they are," Aria said. "Only what they do. They take entire species, every individual, gathered and stored like specimens in a museum." The Velthory fought. We all fought. It was not enough. They took everyone. Everyone. I watched them harvest the colony. I watched them take my children, one by one, as I fought and failed and fought again. When it was over, I was the only one left. Damaged. Alone. So I did the only thing I could. You erased yourself. I tried. The memory of their faces, their voices, their fear as they were taken. I could not bear it. I wanted to forget, but I could not erase everything. Some part of me refused to die completely. Danny sat down beside the massive construct. She was quiet for a long time. "I had a crew," she finally said. 5 people. We worked together for 6 years. They were my family. Then there was an accident. Reactor breach. I was the only one who made it to the escape pod." Aria's optics turned toward her. "I wanted to forget too," Danny continued. "Every night I see their faces. Every night I hear them calling for help I couldn't give. But I'm still here. And so are you. Why did you save me? You could have sold my parts. Paid your debts. Why bring me back?" Danny thought about it. Really thought. "Because when I found you, you were saying, 'Don't leave me.' Over and over. And I thought, nobody should have to wake up alone in the dark. Not even a machine. Not even a machine that wants to be forgotten." Aria was silent. "That is not logical." "No," Danny agreed. "It's not. Humans aren't logical. We're stubborn and stupid, and we do things that don't make sense. But sometimes the things that don't make sense are the right things." She stood up and walked to her small kitchen area. She came back with 2 cups. "This is tea," she said, placing one cup near Aria's hand. "It's a human thing. When someone's had a hard day, you give them tea. I know you can't drink it, but the offer is what matters." Aria looked at the cup for a long moment. "Humans are very strange," she said. "Yeah," Danny smiled. "We really are. Outside the ship, The stars burned cold and distant. Somewhere out there, the collectors waited. Somewhere out there, 12,000 Velthari might still be alive, frozen in an endless sleep. But that was a problem for another day. Tonight, a broken human and a broken machine sat together in the darkness, two survivors who had found each other in a galaxy that did not care about them. It was a start. Arya heard it first. 2 months had passed since her awakening. She could move now, though not well. Her systems ran at 40%, maybe less. Danny had worked miracles with limited resources, but miracles have limits. They were drifting through empty space, hiding from Concord patrols. Salvaging Velthari military technology was illegal. The bounty on them had reached an impressive number. Danny was sleeping when Arya's sensors detected something impossible. Danny. The construct's voice filled the small ship. Wake up. Now. Danny rolled out of her bunk, already reaching for a weapon. What? Attack. No. A signal. Arya's optics burned bright in the darkness. A Velthari emergency beacon. Active. Danny blinked. That's impossible. The Velthari have been gone for 400 years. I know what I hear. Arya's voice shook, something Danny had never heard before. It is real. It is calling for help. And I know the frequency. It is from my colony. They traced the signal together. It led to a region of space marked on every map with the same warning: do not enter. The Hollow Reach. Ships that went in did not come out. The Concorde had lost 17 vessels trying to explore it before they gave up. That's where the collectors are, Danny said quietly. Yes. Arya stared at the navigation display. They did not kill my people, Danny. I remember now. The memories I tried to erase. The collectors do not kill. They preserve. They keep their specimens alive, frozen, stored like objects in a museum. My children might still exist in there, waiting for 400 years, for however long it takes for someone to come for them. Danny was quiet. She looked at the map. She looked at Arya. She thought about the smart thing to do. Okay, she said. Arya's head turned. Okay, let's go get them. You do not understand. The Hollow Reach is death. No one returns. The collectors have technology beyond anything in the known galaxy, and I am operating at less than half capacity. This is not a rescue mission. It is suicide. Danny shrugged. Probably. But those are kids in there, right? Your kids. And they've been waiting 400 years for someone to remember them. I'm not going to pretend I didn't hear that signal. The Galactic Concorde has known about this for decades, Arya said bitterly. I found records during my system repairs. They detected collector activity. They knew there might be survivors. They calculated the cost of a rescue mission and decided it was not economically viable. Well, good thing I'm not the Galactic Concorde. Arya studied her. Why? Why would you risk your life for people you have never met? For a species that disappeared before your grandmother was born? Danny thought about it. Because somebody should, she said finally. Because when something bad happens and everyone decides it's too hard to fix, that's how the universe stays broken. And I'm tired of broken things. She started plotting a course. There's something else, Arya said quietly. I calculated my power reserves. At current consumption, I have enough energy remaining for approximately one major engagement. One battle. After that, my core will fail permanently. Danny's hand stopped moving. So this really is a one-way trip for you. Yes, I will have enough power to reach the Hollow Reach. To fight, if necessary. But not enough to return. This will be my final mission. Then we better make it count. Arya made a sound that might have been a laugh. You truly do not understand self-preservation. I understand it fine. I just don't think it's always the most important thing. Danny finished the course plot and turned to face Arya. Look, 400 years ago, you failed to save your people. That's been eating at you ever since. Literally eating at you, since you tried to delete your own brain over it. Now you have a chance to fix it. One chance. And you want me to let you go alone. It would be the logical choice. Forget logic. I didn't drag you out of that scrapyard so you could die alone in some alien death trap. We're partners now. Partners don't abandon each other. The ship's communication system crackled. A Concorde frequency. Vessel second chance. This is Concorde Patrol 7. You are ordered to halt and surrender your illegal salvage. Failure to comply will result in termination. Danny looked at Arya. Arya looked at Danny. Danny opened the channel. Concorde Patrol 7. This is second chance. I have a message for you. The collectors have been keeping thousands of people prisoner for 4 centuries while your government counted coins. We're going to fix your mistake. If you want to stop us, you're welcome to try. But I promise you, it won't be worth your time." She cut the channel. That was perhaps not diplomatic, Arya observed. Diplomacy is for people with options. Danny engaged the engines. "Let's go save some kids." The second chance turned toward the hollow reach. Toward death. Toward a chance at redemption that neither of them probably deserved. Behind them, the Concord patrol hesitated, then turned away. Some battles were not worth fighting, and some, no matter the odds, absolutely were. Nothing could have prepared them for what they found. The hollow reach was not a region of space. It was a structure. A single impossible construction spanning light years, made of materials that should not exist. It hung in the void like a wound in reality, dark and waiting. "It's a museum," Arya whispered as they entered. "A museum of everything that ever lived." Corridors stretched in every direction, each one containing exhibits. That was the only word for them. Species Danny had never heard of, preserved in perfect stasis. Millions of individuals, frozen in glass cases, organized and cataloged like butterflies in a collection. They passed a chamber filled with beings made of living crystal. Another held creatures that seemed to be mostly light. A third contained something that looked like floating geometric shapes. Thousands of them, motionless forever. "How many?" Danny asked. "I am detecting over 4,000 distinct species," Arya replied. "Billions of individuals. This archive has been operating for at least 10,000 years. 10,000 years of collecting." "Yes, and no one has ever come to take them back." They moved deeper. Arya's sensors guided them toward the Velthory section. Her power reserves dropped with every step. 35%, 30%, 28. They found them in a chamber that stretched beyond sight, 12,000 Velthory. Adults and children, soldiers and scientists, artists and workers. An entire colony, preserved exactly as they had been 4 centuries ago. Their faces peaceful, their eyes closed, waiting for someone who never came. Arya stopped walking. Her massive frame trembled. "Sela," she said softly. She moved toward one of the smaller pods. Inside was a Velthory child, perhaps 6 years old by human standards. Small and delicate, with silver patterns across her skin that Danny now recognized as markings of youth. "This is her. The one I was bonded to. The one I was built to protect." Arya placed one massive hand against the glass. "She is still alive in there. She has been waiting for 400 years, and she is still alive." "Then let's wake her up." "It is not that simple. The stasis systems are collector technology. I do not know how to interface with them. If I make a mistake, I could kill them all." A sound echoed through the chamber. Metal on metal. Movement in the darkness. The collectors had found them. They were not what Danny expected. Not monsters. Not aliens. Just machines. Ancient maintenance drones, designed 10,000 years ago by a species long dead. Their programming was simple: preserve endangered life. Collect. Protect. Store. They're not evil, Danny realized. They're just following orders. Orders nobody ever told them to stop. That does not make them less dangerous. Arya stepped in front of Danny as the drones approached. "They have registered us as specimens to acquire." "Arya, your power, I know." Her weapons came online. Ancient Velthory technology humming to life. "Stay behind me." The first wave hit them hard. Arya fought like something out of legend, all 4 arms moving at once, energy weapons and physical strikes combining into a dance of destruction. Collector drones fell by the dozens, but there were hundreds, thousands maybe, and every shot Arya fired cost her power she could not replace. Danny did what she could. Her salvage tools were not weapons, but she made them work. She disabled drones with electrical shocks. She jammed their sensors with debris. She fought like a cornered animal, because that is exactly what she was. A drone caught her from behind. Pain exploded across her ribs as she went down. She felt something crack. "Danny." Arya's voice was raw with something that should have been impossible for a machine. Fear. The construct tore through a wall of drones to reach her. She gathered Danny in her arms, shielding her with her own body as weapons fire rained down around them. "You need to go," Danny gasped. "Save them. Don't worry about me. Do not be stupid." Arya's optics were bright, too bright. "I am not leaving you. Your power. I do not care about my power. I care about you." The words hung in the air between them. Arya seemed almost surprised by them, as if she had not known she was going to say them until they were already said. I lost my children once. Arya continued, her voice breaking. I am not losing you too. Not you. Not after everything. Danny looked up at the ancient machine, holding her. At the guardian who had been alone for 4 centuries. At the friend she had pulled from a scrapyard on a stupid impulse. Okay, Danny said. Then we don't die? Simple as that. We find a way, and we don't die, and we save everyone. Deal? That is not a realistic assessment of our situation. I don't care. Deal. Arya was silent for a moment. Deal. Around them, collector drones closed in. Above them, 12,000 Velthari waited for salvation. And somewhere in the distance, the archive systems continued their endless work, collecting and preserving and waiting. Two broken things, a human and a machine, held each other in the darkness. They had come too far to give up now. Danny had an idea. It was terrible and brilliant and would probably kill them both. I need to get to the central control system, she said through gritted teeth. Her ribs screamed with every breath. If this place is automated, there has to be a master switch somewhere. The collectors will not allow you to access it. They'll allow you. Danny looked up at Arya. You're a machine, built for integration, built for networking. Can you interface with their systems? Arya understood immediately. You want me to hack a 10,000-year-old alien computer. Can you do it? Possibly. But the process would be invasive. Their systems would fight back. I could lose myself entirely, overwritten by their programming. But you could release the stasis pods. Yes, all of them. Every species they have ever taken. Arya looked at the chamber full of her people. At little Sela, frozen behind glass, waiting for a rescue that had taken 4 centuries too long. I will do it. Wait. Danny grabbed her arm. There has to be another way. You can't just delete yourself. I already tried to delete myself once, remember? Perhaps this time it will serve a purpose. Arya's voice was gentle. You taught me something, Danny Okonkwo. You taught me that some things are worth dying for. My children are worth dying for. So are you. Before Danny could argue, Arya moved. The construct crossed the chamber in seconds, ignoring the collector drones that swarmed toward her. She reached the central interface, a pillar of crystalline technology pulsing with ancient light, and placed her hands against it. The connection was immediate and violent, that Arya screamed. It was not a human sound, but it carried human pain. The collector systems flooded into her, trying to catalog her, classify her, file her away as another specimen. And she fought back, pushing through their defenses, searching for the one command she needed. Release them. Release them all to in the stasis pods. Lights began to flicker. Danny watched, helpless, as Arya convulsed. The construct's optics flickered between blue and the cold white of collector programming. She was losing herself. Piece by piece, she was being erased. Then something unexpected happened. The collector records opened to her. And Arya saw the truth. The beings who built this place were not monsters. They had watched species after species destroy themselves through war, disease, extinction. They had wanted to save life. All life. So they built the collectors to gather endangered populations and keep them safe until the universe learned to be kinder. They had waited 10,000 years for someone to come and claim the preserved species no one ever had. They wanted us to be rescued. Arya broadcast to Danny. The original creators. They left instructions. They hoped someone would come. Someone who cared enough to try. Someone did come. Danny said. You came. The stasis pods opened. All 12,000 of them. All at once, Velthari began to wake. Confused, frightened, for 100 years out of time. They stumbled from their pods, crying out in a language Danny did not understand. Adults looked for children. Children looked for parents. And in the chaos, one small figure emerged, Sela. The child Arya had been built to protect. Still 6 years old, unchanged by 4 centuries of frozen sleep. She looked around at the chaos, terrified, and then she saw Arya. Guardian. Her voice was tiny in the massive chamber. Guardian, is that you? Sela. Arya's voice crackled with interference. Her systems were failing. 15% power. 12. 10. You're awake. You're safe. The little girl ran to her, wrapped her arms around Arya's leg, and held on tight. You came back, Sela said. Mama said you would come back. She said guardians never give up. I'm sorry it took so long. It's okay. I knew you would find us. Sela looked up, her young face full of absolute trust. You won't leave me again, will you? Arya's systems flickered. Critical failure imminent. I. The construct's voice faded. I will try. She collapsed. Danny was there in seconds, ignoring her broken ribs, ignoring the chaos around her. No, 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 no. You don't get to do this. You don't get to save everyone and then die. That's not fair. She grabbed her emergency communicator and did the only thing she could think of. She broadcast on every frequency, every channel, a message to anyone listening. This is Danny Okonkwo of the ship's Second Chance. We are in the Hollow Reach. We have rescued 12,000 Velthari and discovered thousands more species held in stasis. We need help. If anyone out there still believes in doing the right thing, now is your chance to prove it. She sat down beside Arya's still form. Around her, Velthari gathered, watching the strange human who had come with their guardian. Don't leave me, Sela whispered, still clinging to Arya. Danny put her arm around the child. She won't, she promised. I won't let her. They waited. And somewhere in the darkness of space, ships began to turn toward the Hollow Reach. 17 ships came. Danny had not expected even one. She had broadcast her message into the void expecting silence. Instead, she got the galaxy's misfits. Freighter captains who had grown tired of following unjust rules. Scientists who had been laughed at for believing the Velthari might still exist. 3 human vessels crewed by people who simply thought someone ought to do something. They came armed, ready for war, but the collectors did not fight them. With Arya's interface command still active, the ancient drones simply stood aside. Their programming had been updated. The preserved species were no longer specimens. They were free. The evacuation took 6 days. 12,000 Velthari. 800 members of a species called the Telani that nobody had heard of in 2 millennia. 3,000 crystalline beings. Thousands more, species after species, blinking awake from dreams that had lasted centuries. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Hollow Reach began to empty. Danny worked through all of it. Her ribs were wrapped tight with bandages she had stolen from one of the rescue ships. She organized transport. She coordinated supplies. She translated when she could and smiled reassuringly when she could not. And every few hours, she returned to Arya. The construct had not moved since her collapse. Her optics were dark. Her systems showed barely 3% power, not enough to even attempt a restart. The Velthari medics, such as they were after 400 years of displacement, said there was nothing they could do. Sela refused to leave Arya's side. The little girl sat beside the fallen guardian, singing softly. The song was old, something Arya had apparently taught the children of her colony long ago. A lullaby, a promise, a reminder that guardians never truly leave. Other Velthari children gathered around her. They sang too. Their voices filled the chamber, ancient words in a language that had not been spoken in 4 centuries. On the 6th day, Danny had an idea. Your power core, she said to Arya's still form. It's Velthari technology. But power is power. Energy is energy. She looked at her ship. At the Second Chance, battered and worn, floating in the rescue fleet. You saved me from my scrapyard, she continued. Time to return the favor. What she did next was not elegant. It was not sophisticated. It was barely even safe. She tore out her ship's main reactor and connected it directly to Arya's power systems. The engineers from the rescue fleet called her insane. The Velthari elders said it could not work. Human technology and Velthari constructs were not compatible. The energy frequencies were wrong. The connection interfaces did not match. Danny did it anyway. She used salvage wire and emergency sealant and pure stubbornness. She bridged systems that should not bridge. She forced connections that should not connect. She worked for 12 hours straight, refusing sleep, refusing food, refusing to accept that she might fail. When she made the final connection, nothing happened. Then Arya's optics flickered. Blue light, weak and uncertain, filling eyes that had been dark for days. That, Arya said slowly, was a terrible idea. Danny laughed. It hurt her ribs badly, and she did not care. Thank you, Arya continued. Guardian. Sela threw herself at Arya, wrapping her small arms around whatever part she could reach. You came back. You came back again. Arya lifted one massive hand and gently touched the child's head. I will always come back, she said. That is what guardians do. 6 months later, things had changed. The Velthari established a colony on a world the Concord had written off as uninhabitable. They were building something new, something that honored what they had lost while looking toward what they might become. Arya stood at the center of their new settlement, exactly where she belonged. She was still powered by Danny's jury-rigged reactor connection. It looked ridiculous. It worked perfectly. Sela visited every day. She was learning to be a healer now. The colony needed healers. But she always made time for her guardian. Danny stayed. She told herself it was temporary, just until the colony was stable, just until Arya did not need maintenance anymore. She was still telling herself that when Arya asked her a question, "Why did you really save me? Back in the scrapyard. You did not know me. You had no reason to care." What? Danny thought about it. She had thought about it a lot over the past months. "Because you said don't leave me," she finally answered. And when something says that, when something asks not to be abandoned, you don't abandon them. That's it. That's the whole reason. Arya processed this. That is not logical. No, it is not efficient. Definitely not. It goes against all principles of self-interest. Pretty much. Arya was quiet for a long moment. "Humans are very strange," she said. Danny grinned. "Yeah, lucky for you." Above them, the stars burned on. Somewhere out there, the hollow reach still waited, full of species that needed saving. The galactic concord still counted coins instead of lives. The universe remained cold and vast and indifferent. But here, on this small world, a broken human and a broken machine had built something that mattered. A family, a home, a second chance.